2012. The MCU was still in phase 1, Gangnam Style was sweeping the nation, and I was 9, so everyone in my 4th grade class was obsessed with the Hunger Games. But my mommy didn't let me watch it because it was too violent, and she was worried about the potential mental torment seeing kids only a few years older than me killing each other would cause my prepubescent mind, or whatever. Eventually, I did get around to watching it when I was old enough to make my own decisions, but I was still like 12, and it was a random school night, and I'm pretty sure I fell asleep, so it's safe to say that it wasn't a fair shot. And now, 9 years after the complete Hunger Games quadrilogy of movies has ended, I still haven't seen any of them other than the first one that one time. But that changes today. New day, same bum fit. School. Yes. I am out of class. I have no plans for the rest of the day, so I said, you know what? Let's bring my dinner back into the room, watch a movie. You already know what I'm rocking with today. The same halal from the last video. Let's go. It was fire. It's gonna be fire again. I already know. After searching through all the streaming services and really getting nowhere, I decided that we're gonna start diving into the Hunger Games movie saga. And I've heard good things. Apparently, a lot of people like it, so it's probably gonna be good. The only problem is it's streaming on like fucking Philo. I don't know what that is, so I have to rent it for $4 or spend $1 more and buy it. I'll probably just buy it. Now I'm sad. My freaking dinner's all cold because I've spent like 20 minutes doing all that bullshit. Fuck. Oh, my wallet. It's time to channel my inner YA protagonist. Actually, I will definitely need those to read my notes. In what was once North America, the capital of Panama maintains its hold on its 12 districts by forcing them each to select a boy and a girl called tributes to compete in a nationally televised event called the Hunger Games. Every citizen must watch as the youths fight to the death until one remains. District 12 tribute Katniss Everdeen, played by Jennifer Lawrence, has little to rely on other than her hunting skills and sharp instincts, which, if you ask me, that's a pretty good amount to rely on, in an arena where she must weigh survival against love. I don't understand what that last part is supposed to mean, but what sells this movie is pretty obviously the concept. I mean, come on, teenagers being picked at random to fight to the death? Fire. But I honestly think what turned it into the worldwide phenomenon that it was is how well thought out the rest of it is. Like, I feel like most of the time when it comes to really good elevator pitches for YA books, they can kind of start to fall apart when they're fleshed out into an entire story, let alone a series of stories or books. But after watching Hunger Games yesterday, I kind of feel like this movie does the opposite. The more world building it does, the more believable it becomes. And like, you could almost really believe that a society like that would actually function. Because as stupid as it sounds and how corrupt as it is, obviously, it like low-key makes sense. But I guess we'll get into that a little more later. We pretty much all know the story. Prim's name gets pulled out of the bowl and Katniss volunteers as tribute. There's a few weird editing moments, particularly in the beginning of this movie, where there's just like weirdly placed cuts that kind of mess with the pacing of it. And it does low-key take away from the weight of like what's being said. Take this scene with Gale and Katniss, for example.
How many times did your name in today?
42. Guess the odds aren't exactly in my favor.
Damn, that's pretty good writing. But staying on that shot for the pause, I thought kind of took away from it a little bit. If you have him say the number, then cut back to her, reaction a little bit, do a little back and forth between them, and then go back to that wider shot for the, I guess the odds aren't really in my favor, that would slap. Like, that would be really good. But as the movie progressed and I started to get a better sense of the tone they were trying to convey, I definitely get why they chose to do that. In doing that, you feel more immersed in the moment with them. It makes the pause feel a little bit more awkward because you're not seeing any changes or anything. It does create this overarching sense of like rawness for the rest of the movie. So yeah, I get the choice. I think it works. I don't know why I overthought that's just like a 2-second thing. I probably spent like, what, a minute talking about it? My stomach is grumbling. I'm hungry. Fuck. Another example of this working really well is obviously the volunteers tribute scene. While most people might think, let's have some swelling strings that kind of build up to that moment when she goes, I volunteer tribute, and have everything cut back. No, instead we're going to do the entire thing completely silent. Not an ounce of music. Just sitting in that silence makes the scene work so well. You see her like slowly make her way up to the stage and look at her face, bro. The entire thing is uncomfortable. Throughout the rest of the movie, you do get a handful of really emotional scenes, but they never feel like they're over dramatized. They're paced out like they would happen in real time, and I just think that's really effective in setting that grounded vibe. Because obviously there are certain aspects of this world that are super dystopian that like, okay, this would never really happen. Stanley Tucci would never want to wear a wig like that in real life, but it's these choices that help make the world feel more believable. I love Jennifer Lawrence as an actor. She was like one of my first celebrity crushes. I love the X-Men movies. I actually think she's kind of mid in those, but she's there and I like her and she's there. Silver Linings Playbook is another one of my favorite movies. I love that movie so much. And honestly, when watching this last night, was not that impressed. Some of it is the writing. You know, one of her first lines is, "Damn you, Gale." No one says damn you, bro. Like, literally no one in real life says that. They'd be like, what the fuck, Gale? You fucking bitch. But that's kind of expected with the movie that it is. You know, yes, it's PG-13, yes, it's super violent, but this is geared towards tweens. But anyways, back to Jennifer Lawrence. I thought that she was a little bit, like, emotionless, a little bit deadpan. It wasn't until later that I started to realize that's kind of the point. Katniss as a protagonist is interesting because she's kind of normal. She's not particularly charismatic, not even particularly likable, but she's goated on the sticks when she got her bow and arrow, and she doesn't drink the Kool-Aid. That's all that matters. A very refreshing take compared to the, chosen one YA protagonists. And that's why I think the Volunteers tribute scene is so great, because it perfectly encapsulates that. When they're taking Prim, every single person in the crowd has the same thought. Katniss is just the one with the courage to do something about it. And the entire scene moves so fast, it feels like she just goes, "No, Prim, I volunteer tribute." Like, it's like a gut reaction. Love that choice because, again, it could be one of those things where they, like, swell up the instruments. They could have done one of those anime things where they're like, "Prim, my sister. Oh, fuck, dude. What am I gonna do? Oh, shit. Fuck. I guess I could, like, volunteer as tribute or something." Again, just more small choices that make it feel like you're in the crowd with them. But even beyond pacing, this movie does so much to immerse you into it. Like when she gets stung and starts hallucinating. There's also multiple times where the audio gets low pass to convey the anxiety that she's feeling in the moment. When the game starts, you see people getting killed. It's a riot. But instead of playing any dramatic music and focusing on any of that, it's silent. Because my girl Katniss, she's locked in right now, bro. Okay, she don't care about that. Once the games actually start, everything just moves and it's really so much fun. I really appreciate how creative they get with, like, the events that happen in the games. Realistically, if I were Kato and I had all those arrows, yes, I'm gonna keep shooting until she dies. Like, I'm not gonna just shoot 2 arrows and be like, we'll just wait. That doesn't fucking make sense, okay? You're an idiot. But the truth is, if the Hunger Games were in real life, they wouldn't be that interesting. Motherfuckers are just gonna get stabbed. That's how everyone's gonna die, just getting stabbed. Instead, no, we'll drop a hive of, crazy, dangerous bugs that literally sting this girl to death. We're gonna have javelins instead of just regular, swords. We're gonna fight these weird, big panther-looking beast thingies. Look at Peeta's face, bro. There's just all these little choices that, as the story progresses, makes it more interesting and, like, really shows these people's creativity, like the actual characters' creativity. As is the case with most movie adaptations of books, there are definitely certain aspects of the movie that feel rushed. If we could throw in another 30 minutes, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of time with her at home, just seeing her, like, regular day-to-day life more. The first act moves really fast just because there's so much to get through. I haven't read the book, so I don't really know, but sometimes you could just tell. Like Gale, my guy is just there. I have to imagine he got a lot more to do in the book before Katniss gets shipped off, especially because they keep cutting back to shots of him watching the games like we're supposed to care about what he's thinking. Like, why would I give a fuck about Liam Hemsworth? Literally, Peeta is my fucking guy. What a cutie. Rue has this weird obsession with Katniss that I also have to imagine is more fleshed out in the book. Honestly, we barely get to see her in this movie, so I'd be lying if I said I was that affected by her death scene. But this line, though... Oh, fuck, dude. I can't lie. I was stuffed like a turkey after eating all that halal. Kind of getting hit by that food coma, And that line delivery right there pulled me right out of it. I shot up. And yeah, overall, I just feel like the games were really well paced. While Katniss obviously does a lot of waiting around in between the people that she fights and kills, they find that good sweet spot of, like, conveying that while also not having those moments drag out too much. And it's intense, There's so many moments where she almost dies. And, like, we know she's not going to, but you still feel it.
Having the audience contribute to the dynamics of the games is such an interesting twist. Like, not only do these people have to fend for their lives now, but they also have to appear likable, so people will sponsor them and they get more resources. This is where the movie starts to exceed its elevator pitch, because it very well could have just been a bunch of teens fighting for their lives, but adding that aspect just gives so much more weight to each of the characters', arcs and choices. When it's finally just them two and Kano, he's like, fuck, dude, I know nobody wants me to win, but I'm gonna do it anyway. That shit is so sad, bro, because he didn't do anything wrong. Like, yeah, he's an asshole, but it just goes to show how fucked up this entire thing is. There are literally people watching around the world hoping that he dies. Probably most of the people watching are hoping that he dies. Which does bring me to my last, I guess, confusion/point that I wanted to bring up. I just don't really get what's going on with Katniss and Peeta in this movie. Like, I can only imagine they probably end up together. I don't think she ends up with Gale. But I guess I'm just a little bit confused as to, like, where they draw the line between actually liking each other and, like, just playing it up for the audience. Because, okay, it starts with Peeta saying it during his little interview with Stanley Tucci, right? And it's not even clear then if he actually means it or he's just saying it to start that narrative. But then that moment when they're together in that little cave cave area, and Peeta thinks he's about to die. He's like, oh, I threw you the loaf of bread. I should have walked over and handed it to you. I think about it all the time. That is so sweet, bro. That's probably one of my favorite scenes. It just shows that Peeta's such a sweetie pie, sweetie Peeta, right? And that kind of feels like, yeah, he does really have feelings for her. And then I think she gives him like a little kiss on the cheek or whatever, and then she goes out to get the ointment. The note is like, you call that a kiss? And then she goes back and they like actually kiss. So that shows that Katniss was definitely acting it up more. Like, that's the whole point. And then by the end, they weren't actually going to kill themselves with the berries. Like, that part's obvious. But what I realized, like, after watching the movie is she never tells Peeta that she got that note. So, like, yeah, Haymitch said that thing in the beginning, kind of planting the seed of that idea. But as far as I could tell, Peeta doesn't know that that plan is in, like, full swing by the end, you know? Like, so he could believe that it's genuine. I just hope that Katniss ain't playing with my guy's heart, you know? I would ask you guys to let me know what you think about it in the comments, but, you know, knowing that they eventually end up together, this part seems kind of irrelevant. It's just like regarding this movie as a singular movie, it's just bothering me a little bit. Like, I want to know. Anyways, I decided that I'm going to start giving MVP awards to the actors that I think give the best performance in each movie I review. So the MVP for Hunger Games 2012 is, give me a drum roll,
Peeta. Yeah. Originally, while filming, I did give it to Jennifer Lawrence because I guess I just remembered her performance being a lot better than it actually was. After rewatching a lot of the movie while editing, I started to realize she's really not that great in this movie. Like, look at this, bruh. What is that? No. She's fine in the role, and again, you know, she doesn't really have that much to work with, but she's not particularly expressive. You know, I also think that her whole deadpan shtick kind of results in a lot of half-baked line deliveries. And yeah, she gets the most screen time, so obviously she's going to be like the big takeaway of this movie. But I think Josh gets some really nice moments in this movie, and he sells them completely. And I'm not saying that Josh's performance is like perfect either. Of everyone in the movie, probably Haymitch and like Elizabeth Banks are the best actors, but Peeta is my MVP. I love you, Josh. You're my boy.
And shout out to the crew for making him look at least somewhat the same height as Katniss in this movie. I just don't think I would buy him having like peak human strength if he looked like his actual height. God bless an apple box. Overall, this movie is great. You know, I have very few complaints about it. Yes, it reeks of YA at times, but you know, that's what it is, so that's not really a complaint. I just feel like for my personal taste these days, you know, with shows like The Boys and Invincible that I'm like really big fans of, it does kind of feel like that holds it back just a tad. I guess I would love to see like a rated R Hunger Games, you know? This movie has to introduce us to this crazy complex world while also telling a compelling story. And because of that, I do feel like we miss out on some potential stuffer scenes that would just help us feel more engulfed. Like I said, they do in part make up for that, you know, by like not having music in certain scenes or just doing a lot to immerse you into it. But my point is, I guess I'm just really looking forward to Catching Fire and the other ones, where nothing else has to be established and we can just tell a complete story in this world. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. It definitely set up Catching Fire super well. I love how like when they come back, it seems calm, but they're like, listen, Katniss, you made them upset, so shit's gonna happen. And I know that her and Peeta compete again, which I'm like, why? Like, what is going on? Also, this was the 74th annual Hunger Games, and this next one's the 75th, so that's pretty cool. Maybe they're gonna do something, I don't know. Like, I'm just really excited for that movie.
Wow. I just watched the trailer for Catching Fire. Why does it look like so much, just like light years ahead of this one? I'm hyped, bro. That's gonna be fire.
So, expect a video on that one soon, probably. Oh, I forgot to do my top 3 moments. Number 3 will go to Peeta and Katniss's kiss or Peeta face. I probably hinted to the kiss, but like this is that entire scene, like I said, with him talking about the bread. Number 2 is probably gonna be the arrow and the apple. Like, that's just so sick, bro. I love that scene. It's so good. And number 1's actually gonna be Kano at the end, because it shows, you know, Katniss and Peeta planned for this. They're lucky that everyone's on their side, but fuck, you feel bad for him, bro. And then he does end up dying, so it's just even more sad.
Go on. Shoot. Then we both go down and you win. Go on. I'm dead anyway. I always was, right? I didn't know that till now. What, is that what they want? Huh? No. Nah. I can still do this. One more kill. It's the only thing I know how to do. Bringing pride to my district. Not that it matters. Also, I kept calling him Kano in this, and it's actually Kato. I just found out with a T. I like the name Kano more, not gonna lie. But yeah, I just figured I'd say.